Hello everyone, Alejandro Sanchez here with Apex Racing Academy. Today we are kicking off week 2 of IMSA iRacing series at Portimao in the Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo. On top of that, we are also giving away the Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo data pack completely free, and that includes both qualifying and race setups, and in weeks with rain, we are also including the rain setup, so that's like 4 for 1. On top of that, we are providing reference lap files so you can load up the P-lap and O-lap files into your Delta and compare against my best lap times. We are also providing the replay file so you can just sort of look at where I'm starting to brake and where I'm turning in for key corners. Now, let's break down the circuit. Algarve or Portimao, however you want to call it, it's full of 3D curves, and 3D curves tend to pull you into them. So it can get quite frustrating if you're driving on top of them, and you have to do so in order to get a good lap time. And this car is not really the best around here. It lacks a bit of pace, lacks a bit of traction, and yeah, overall it's just not the nicest experience, I'm afraid to say. There are better options out there in terms of raw pace. But yeah, Portimao has a lot of elevation changes, and as I said, 3D curves, and both are things that the Mercedes doesn't really like. So, without further delay, let's dive in. Just a quick reminder, guys, you can grab this season's Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo data pack over at apexracingac.com or by clicking the link in the description below. Let's start with a lap. For T1, you want to put the entire car over the red AstroTurf here on the left, only keeping in contact with the curve with two tires, with the two right side tires in this case. I usually just look at this penultimate white line for starting to brake, but you have to brake a little bit before that. You also have to keep in mind that the curve gets taller as you get closer to the edge, so it's quite an abrupt hit when you are getting off the curve. Keep that in mind because the car gets quite upset. Just like this, brake quite hard. You can see the sparks flying out because the car is bottoming out. As I said on the intro, it's not the best car for this week. But yeah, we're gonna drop it to fourth gear. Gonna brake to roughly around 75%, give or take, and start to turn in roughly between these two white lines, basically. More towards the second one, but yeah. Fourth gear, trailer brake all the way up until this banana curve on the right, where you want to get really close to it, but without obviously touching it because it's super tall and it will upset the car even more. Hit the throttle really soon in order to keep the car in check because otherwise it gets quite loose. Then let it track wide, trust the car rotation. As I said, the curves sort of pull you in, so you can take that and use it to your advantage. In this case, the off-track is given to you once the entire car has exceeded the curve. So in this case, it wasn't an off-track by very little, but it was in an off-track because I was still in contact with the curve with the right front tire. So you can take full advantage of that, use that to carry more speed into the corner, and then immediately try to get the car in check because it gets quite loose on the exit, and let it track wide. You can either choose to put the two left side tires beyond the curve and into the red AstroTurf on the left, or just keeping within the white line sort of. And yeah, I mean, you can brake with 2 tires on the curve, but you don't really want to get close to the edge of the curve, the outer edge of the curve, because it's just super tall. And yeah, my visual reference for starting to brake is going to be this last white line. Obviously, I'm starting to brake a lot later, but it is what I'm looking at. And trail brake all the way to the apex, quite a hard braking zone, roughly around the same, around 70% give or take. Trail brake all the way up until this point. Keep it in second, you can also drop it to first, but I prefer to keep it in second so that I don't have to mind the upshift shock that this car has from first to second on the exit of the corner, and use the inside curve to help you rotate the car. Obviously, you want to get as close as possible to the inner sausage curve without driving over it. You can also use the inner gutter as well. That's exactly what I did. Then keep it as far to the right as soon as possible. Just like this. Drive with 2 tires over this left right-hand curve. And yeah, over the elevation change we go. Short shift to third. The only car that can really take this flat out is the Porsche or the Lambo or the Audi, but this doesn't, so you have to lift off. And then yeah, lift off before you actually hit the corner, by the way. It's very important that you do that. Well, hit the apex in this case, because otherwise it will get quite loose. Just like that. Let it track wide. Here, as long as you have 2 tires touching the curve, it's gonna be fine. Then for the hairpin, we are gonna start to brake as soon as this green astroturf on the right ends. Well, a little bit earlier than that because I'm getting slowly to threshold, but that's exactly what I'm looking at as I am approaching the corner. 2 tires on the curve, as always. Quite a hard braking zone, as you can see here, roughly 95% braking pressure. And yeah, first gear for this one because it's quite slow, and trail brake all the way up until the apex right here. You can either use the inside curve to help you rotate the car or not use it at all. There's like some weird grip things going on around here, and also with the 3D curve sometimes it does some weird stuff. So yeah, I usually just like to put half of the tire maybe on the inside curve, and that's about it. And then on the exit you need to aim in a straight line towards the outside astroturf. Just like that. You want to put their 2 right side tires, which are the ones that have the most grip in this case, well, because they are loaded up. And just have that so you maximize your traction. You don't want to put just the 2 right side tires on the curve. And also keep in mind that leaving the white line, well, leaving the any more than this is gonna be an off track. I don't really know where the exact limit is, but it's like the edge of the car has to meet the edge of the inner edge of the curve, and that's roughly where you're gonna get the off track. And go back to the left side of the track. 2 left side tires over this curve. Just be careful of not driving it too much over, because otherwise, yeah, it pulls you in. Open up the line for this very weird double right-hander and use this outside curve to your advantage. Driving over this outside curve, lifting off before you start to turn in. Then braking a little bit in order to not run off the track completely. Trail braking all the way up until this point where we are going to aim for this inside yellow sausage curve. Obviously, you want to hit the throttle before you actually hit the curve. And well, before the end of the sausage curve on the right, that's when you want to hit the throttle in order to stabilize the car. And yeah, bit of throttle for car stabilization, as I said, and immediately starting to brake again. Put the 2 left side tires beyond the curve and into the astroturf here on the left, and drop it to second gear. Obviously, very important you don't cross over the white line with the 2 right side tires. Second gear, use the inside curve to your advantage, just like that, and pick up the throttle really soon because it's quite uphill corner, as you can see. Then keep the car as steady as possible on the exit. Just drive over this outside curve a little bit, not too much. I don't really recommend putting the 2 left side tires over the astroturf here on the left. Then back to the middle of the track. In order to do those meters, you don't really need to open up the entry all the way over here to the right. Keep it in the middle, as I said. Use the inside curve to help you rotate the car as well. Just gonna bottom out around here, just like that. Keep it in fourth. And then as you're going over the elevation change, go back to the left side of the track and start to turn in as you're about to go to the top of the hill. You can also use this white line for a visual reference, and yeah, starting to brake roughly around there actually, and aiming in a straight line roughly in the middle of the track, and that's exactly where you want to be. You don't want to let the car track too wide over here, because otherwise you're going to miss the apex quite likely. So third gear for this one, very weird braking zone. You're only braking around 50% because you are turning in at the same time, so you cannot ask for too much of the tire. So third gear, as I said, trail brake all the way up until here, pick up the throttle soon, and mind the elevation change here. You don't really want to go too wide on the exit, because otherwise, as you're going over the elevation change, the car's tires are going to get unloaded, and that's going to greatly reduce your grip. Just like that. Third gear, as I said, not too wide, and just using this outside curve. You can also opt for going beyond the curve and into this outside AstroTurf with the left side tires, but you don't really need to with this car. Third gear, keep it in third. Gearing is quite long, use this inside curve to help you rotate the car. Then second gear for both hairpins. For this one, I'm starting to brake a little bit before this white line going across the runoff. And yeah, that's just what I look at for starting to brake. 2 tires over the curve, but just the tire, not any more than that, because otherwise it will pull you in and it will do all kinds of weird stuff with the car. And yeah, braking to roughly around 75%, give or take, and starting to turn in quite early. Keep it really tight through here because there's no grip on the outside. Tail brake all the way up until the apex, and use the inner curve to help you rotate the car as well. And also very, very close to the inside yellow sausage curve without actually driving over it. And yeah, just very patient with the throttle because the car doesn't really have too much traction. And yeah, let the car track wide, use the entirety of the track. As I said, very patient. Then go back to the left before the second hairpin. For this one, I'm just starting to brake roughly where this red AstroTurf on the left begins, and starting to turn it at the same time, so you cannot really brake too much. Bit of a middle to late apex. Keep it really tight. You can also use the inside curve to help you rotate the car. Once again, need to be really patient on throttle because the car doesn't really have any traction at this point. And yeah, just let it track wide on the exit. Use this thicker part of the curve in order to maximize your exit and your run to this last corner. And here I just put in the entire car over the runoff here on the left. As you can see, I'm only keeping in contact with the curve with 2 tires. And that's enough to not give me an off track. And you can fully take advantage of that in order to have a wider approach. For the last corner, I'm starting to turn in, roughly following the contour of this curve. As soon as the curve ends, I'm starting to turn in. I'm just following it. And then using the inside curve on the last corner in order to help me rotate the car. But just the curve, not any more than that, because otherwise the car's going to run out quite heavily. Just minding the off track here on the exit. It's quite easy to understeer right into the off track if you don't time the throttle right. Also, it's quite important that you lift off for this one. You really need to lift off actually. And then yeah, just go back to full power as soon as the downhill begins. Then stay on the left side of the track and into the start finish line. That's it for this week. Don't forget to head over to apexracingac.com to grab this season's free data pack. You can also join our Discord server where you can connect with the coaches, and you can also ask us any questions you have about any GT3s or any other car in general. We are also providing group coaching sessions on Wednesday evenings for the IMSA series, where we are not only giving support for the GT3s but also for the GTPs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.